but not just a stroll without a care, cause I'm going down the road to a brand new place, and I'll get there with a smile on my face, yeah, so lift me up, I'm moving on, singing and dancing while I play my song.
I'm back. Hi, everybody. Welcome your Backup Plan Tribe to another great show. And hey, you get me twice this week. Don't you feel special? It's awesome. I can't believe another great show coming to you from Maryland, United States. I'm so very excited to have Tim come on. Our title today is What the Hell Are You Doing? Get down from there. I think I've heard that. My mom say that a few times to me. I'm sure everybody else. So welcome your Backup Plan Tribe to another great show. Welcome if you are new here. You have reached Tina again with Talking Taboo with Tina, where we talk about taboo subjects all the time and focus on real, raw conversations with our listeners about their journey from a life-changing event. And boy, Tim has one for you today. Let me tell you. So stay tuned because he's coming on. So, I want to, what is your backup plan app? What did we just have going around in a little commercial? It's about putting your life, everything that's up in your head that maybe your spouse or partner doesn't know about, not on purpose, just might be passwords. It might be, oh yeah, I had that other bank account that, you didn't really know I had from years ago, or investments accounts, or maybe the other spouse doesn't know about the other, where everything is. They know that you have them, but it's not together. And when something happens and the person can't talk or has passed in a car accident or something, nobody knows where the heck is everything. Nobody knows, is it in a garbage can? Is it in a drawer? Is it in the closet? Where's your stuff? Where's all the stuff? Have you done a will? I had a client who did their own will, which is fine, but they left it in their condo and he passed away with a heart attack. And he was giving everything to his two nephews, who was always coming around to his place and checking on him, and they do things together. They were very close. But in the big picture, his sister and his two brothers came into the condo and found the will and ripped it up. So what does that tell you? That tells you that maybe you did the will, but you didn't do all of it, all of what you should have done, because the nephews got zero, which is really sad because it's not what their wishes were. So let me tell you, we focus on getting you prepared. It's like having your own assistant in your phone. It makes it easy so that you know where everything is and you can access it. You can be in Europe and you lost your passport and you can go get it off your phone. You can give a key to somebody so that they know how to get access to your shed in the back, or the garage, or the house, or the other place, or whatever it might be, or the cottage. Everything means something in one little way and will help you when it comes time when something does happen. So welcome to your backup plan. I would like to welcome our beautiful United States and Canadian listeners. Thank you for coming on. Always love to have you. And thank you, my German listeners, who have been, I think, from the very, very, very beginning, my third top listeners. So welcome, my German listeners. Meine deutsche Freunde sind unserem Podcast willkommen. Wenn Sie Kommentar haben, können Sie gern Fragen stellen. Also danke für deine Freundschaft. And thank you. Thank you, everyone. Ireland is coming up next, so hello, Ireland, as well. And hello, everyone else. I'd love to have each and every one of you. So let's get this party started. Mike Tyson has a famous quote. You know what I say for my listeners that are returning. Everyone has a plan till you get punched in the mouth. Yep. Yeah, we do. So let's bring on Tim Lodgen. I'm so happy and excited to have him here today with us. Hey, Tim, I'm just going to introduce to everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me, Tina. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. So Tim comes to us from beautiful Maryland. He is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, a husband, a father. He is a mental health, addiction, and suicide advocate and speaker. And I'm so very happy to have you on here today. If we can touch one person out there, you know, Tim, we talked about this, and I'm so excited because I know every time, if you are watching this, you are watching it for a reason. If you came across this video, you came for it for a reason. And that's what I'm here all about every single time. If you just come across my show for a reason, share it, like it. And, oh, can't forget my hand. I have to put my hand down there and say, press on that subscribe button, because we don't want to forget you and watching our shows. So Tim, you know, I'm so excited to have you come on our show for many reasons. And that's because I want to help people like you do. And that's your main purpose as well. And Tim, where did it all start for you?
Well, you know, I grew up in a pretty normal family. My father was a police officer. He retired after 37 years. My mother actually, which is not too common, but she was actually a female professional bodybuilder when I was growing up. So there was no drugs, no alcohol in my house. Like there was no liquor in the cabinet, there was no beer in the refrigerator. It just I wasn't around, so I didn't see it on a daily basis. My mother's 73, and I literally have seen her drink 5 beers in my entire life, and I'm 46. My father would have a drink or two at a Christmas party or a family cookout or something, but nothing. I've never seen my father drunk, nothing like that. A normal socializing drinker, or you know, and
Yeah.
but at the age of 6, my parents did get a divorce. So I primarily was raised by my mother, and I say that because that is a huge part of my story. Because at 6 years old, I have a brother who's 11 years older than me.
Oh,
So
wow. That's a big difference.
yeah, so here I am. I'm going into first grade, and my brother's going to be a senior in high school. My father leaves, and as a young boy, I thought it was my fault. I would say to myself, what did I do for him not to stick around? Why did he stick around for my brother, but not for me? Was there something wrong with me? Did I not clean my room? Did I not listen? Did I not do my homework? Was I not a good boy? And I carried that with me for 30 years. I really thought I had something to do with the divorce. It wasn't until I'm 46. It wasn't until like I got in my 40s where me and my mother had a conversation, and she said, "You've been carrying that for 30 plus years?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Sweetie, your father was running around on me." She's like, "That's why we got a divorce. It had nothing to do with you. I can't believe you've thought this your entire life that you had something to do with it. I wish you would have came to me sooner." But as a young boy, and my generation of my parents, we didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't talk about that kind of stuff. It was more hush hush, keep it in the family, you know, a lot of embarrassment. We don't want nobody to know about it, you know. So
pull up your big boy pants and deal with
pull up
it.
your big point and suck it up, buttercup, the whole deal. Absolutely. So, but my mom did a great job raising me. You know, my father left. She put herself through college, got her master's degree, and ultimately became a vice president of this big company in Maryland, and became pretty wealthy and did really good. And to keep me occupied, she put me in sports. So all through elementary, middle school, and high school, I played baseball, football. I was actually almost a professional skateboarder.
Oh, wow.
I grew up with a gentleman by the name of Brandon Novak, who is one of the Jackass members and professional skateboarders. And he lived like 3 streets over from me. I've known him since elementary school. And I grew up with him, and we skateboarded on the same local teams and stuff like that. And when Bucky Lasik, a really high-end skateboarder, would come to town, I was able to skate with him, so I got to do that. That was pretty cool. In middle school, I became a Golden Glove and Junior Olympic boxer. I came in third place in the Junior Olympics, and then still no drugs and alcohol going into high school. It just wasn't on the radar. I
That's
didn't
crazy.
hang out with anybody who did it. I wasn't interested. I was an athlete. I just wanted nothing to do with it. The ninth
It
grade of high
sounds like you've
school.
had the perfect scenario, really, right?
Yeah,
Sounds,
I mean, it did. I mean, I had good grades. My mom took care of me. My stepfather, she met him when I was in fifth grade, and they were together for 28 years. So he primarily raised me. He was a good influence. Showed me a lot about carpentry. I'm a carpenter now, so that's why I learned how to be a carpenter. And it actually taught me how to ski and water ski. So a lot of things that I know how to do now, he actually told me. So I had a good upbringing prior or post my father leaving.
right.
But ninth grade, I got to high school, and a friend of mine had a welcome to high school freshman party, and everybody went. I mean, it was 100 some people at this kid's house, and that was the first time I ever tried alcohol.
Uh-oh.
Um, it was good and bad because I tried it, but I drank a lot, and I got completely sick. The next day, my mom picked me up from the party, and she's like, "You drank alcohol last night, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I'm not going to punish you because the rest of your weekend's going to be ruined, and I hope this deters you from ever drinking again." So she didn't punish me, but we were having a cookout that day at the house, and she made me shuck 50 ears of corn in the basement. She gave me one bag to throw up in and one bag to shuck the
Oh,
ears of corn. She was, that's your punishment, and today and tomorrow you're going to be so sick. So, and it worked. The rest of ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, no drugs, no alcohol. The summer before 12th grade, I looked at my grades. I wasn't getting into college, and a lot of the people that I was hanging out with were starting to do drugs. And I was like, I don't want to get into that group. I don't have grades to get into college. What am I going to do? Well, my father, both my grandfathers, my brother, they were all in the Army, all in the military. I'm like, you know what? I'm joining the military. And I decided to join the Marine Corps the summer before senior year. So I knew as soon as I graduated, I had like a month off of summer, and then I was going into boot camp. So senior year comes, and I'm like, you know what? I had this bright idea that let me have some fun this year. Let me get it out of my system because at the end of the year, shit's going to hit the fan. I'm going into the service, and
yeah.
it's going to get real, and I'm not going to have time to do all that stuff. So I started going to parties into my senior year, and it wasn't to be popular. I was a very popular kid growing up in my school, and it wasn't to fit in. I had a lot of friends. I was literally just going to get it out of my system. That's what I told myself. So I started going to parties. I started drinking alcohol. And once I started drinking alcohol, I noticed that it opened me up to being more readily available to try anything else that was at the party. So I would start drinking alcohol, and then, oh, what's that? Some pot? I'll try smoking some pot. And I started smoking some pot, and then, oh, what's that? Oh, LSD. I'll try a hit of that, and started tripping on LSD and eating mushrooms and taking pain pills and
Oh dear.
smoked PCP a few times. And so, but it all stemmed from getting that alcohol in my system. Because once I
Yeah.
got alcohol in my system, I was like, what's next? What's at this party? Let me try it. Again, I thought it was just a phase, that it was going to be done once I got out of high school.
Yeah.
I graduated high school and I go into the military. Now the drugs did stop. 100%, there was no drugs in the military. And I went to boot camp, and there's no drinking in the boot camp. But once I graduated boot camp and I got stationed in North Carolina, once we got done for the day at 4 o'clock, a bunch of us would leave the base and we would go to the bars and the strip clubs. And the rule around the military bases at the bars and strip clubs were, if you're old enough to take a bullet for the country, you're old enough to have a cold beer. So they would serve us underage. Our drinking age is 21. So
21. Yeah.
they would serve us 18, 19, 20 years old. And their only rule was you couldn't stand there holding the beer. You could go up to the bar and order it, and you could take a drink of it. But when you weren't drinking it, you had to sit it down at the table of the bar just in case an authority figure should happen to walk in so they wouldn't get in trouble. But they had no problems serving us. And as 18, 19, 20-year-old men, we saw our sergeants at these same bars, late 20, early 30s. And they would only say, don't get locked up, don't get into a fight, and make sure your ass is up at 3:30 in the morning and at formation at 4 o'clock, ready to go running. Other than that, they didn't care we were out drinking. So as young men, being influenced by older gentlemen, we kind of took it as if, this is a rite of passage. This is
It's
kind of what we do.
acceptable. Yeah.
Right. This is kind of what we do. And we would take it as a badge of honor. We would stay out till 1 or 2 o'clock, come back, fall asleep for an hour and a half, and be up at formation at 4 and go running. And while we're running, throwing up, we finished the run. And that was kind of like, this is what we do in the Marine Corps. We drink and we train hard and we party hard, and this is what we do. And it got to about 2.5 years into my enlistment, and my unit, we got sent to Somalia for 6 months. Now, this is in 1995. There was no wars going on at the time. It was actually during peacetime. We went there for training purposes, and I did get to see the ramifications of what war did to a third world country and its people. And I didn't think it affected me while I was there. But when we came back, it started to really bother me. It started to really affect me, and I started to say, well, why am I in the military if we're doing this to these people? Like, my mind was starting to play tricks on me, and I think that was due to I had undiagnosed bipolar and manic depressive disorder at that time, and I think that's when it really started.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to it, and I was having some problems. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't think. I couldn't train. And they came up to me and were like, you can get out an early not enlistment. Darn it.
Dismissal or
Yeah.
Right.
You can get out early. And I said, okay, it's going to be honorable discharge. I had accrued 2 years of Montgomery GI Bill to go to college. So they're like, it's honorable discharge. You can get out. We don't think you're fit to continue your MOS. I was 0311 infantry. So I said, you know what? That sounds good to me. I'm done. I'm going to go home. So I get out. I come home, and the first month was great. I was kind of like a decompression month. I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock. I don't have to go running. I don't have to get my hair cut. I don't have to shave. I don't have to wear a uniform. I can kind of just relax. So the first month was awesome. The second month, it was kind of the oh shit factor. I'm living back at my mom's house. I'm 21 going on 22 years old. I don't have a job. I don't have a vehicle. I need to start paying my mom some kind of rent and help with the food and the electric. And then the third month came, and I got severely depressed. I stopped showering. Because
it's like, what's now? What's next?
Yeah.
Right?
I truly
no plan.
lost.
Hey, we were just talking about that.
I lost my identity.
You didn't have a plan, right?
Yeah, I lost my identity. I lost my purpose. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I figured on being in the Marines for another year and a half and possibly even re-enlisting and continuing to go. I didn't know. So exactly, I was lost. I didn't know what was going on. And, I stopped showering. I stopped shaving. I didn't want to leave my bedroom. I was drinking every day. And now that I've been home, I had no drug test. I started smoking pot again and taking pain pills whenever I could get my hands on them. And, I found myself one day in my bedroom completely lost, completely scared, not knowing my future. And I go into my stepfather's armoire, and I grab his gun, and I sit it on my lap. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm crying, and I don't know what's next. But I had the right mind to call my girlfriend and say, hey, something's not right. I'm sitting here, and I'm looking at a gun in my lap, and I'm contemplating using it, and I don't know what to do. And within 5 minutes, she was at my house. And she came in, she took it from me, and we talked. And when my mom came home from work that evening, I told her, I said, Mom, something's wrong. I didn't tell her I just had my stepfather's gun in my lap, she would have completely freaked out, had me committed, and the whole deal. I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to do all that, but she says, well, we need to get you to some doctors and see what's going on because it doesn't sound normal. So I go to the doctors next week and they start doing a bunch of tests on me and they diagnosed me with bipolar 1 manic depressive disorder. Now in 95, there was no PTSD symptoms or diagnosis like there is now. I'm
No.
I'm 100% sure I was suffering from PTSD. Now I look back on it, absolutely, but the government and the medical, it wasn't
Yeah, they
it
weren't
wasn't a
up there
thing.
to that
No,
point yet. No.
no, it wasn't a thing. So their first solution was to put me on medicine. And I want to tell people that if you're in this situation where you're diagnosed with a mental illness or heaven forbid a heart condition or cancer or any type of health condition or mental illness, be honest with your doctors. I wasn't honest with my doctors. I didn't tell them I was drinking every day. I didn't tell them I was smoking pot or eating painkillers when I could get my hands on them. So when they gave me the medicine for my bipolar, it wasn't working. And it was all due to the fact I had drugs and alcohol in my system.
Right.
So when I would go back every 30, 60, 90 days, whenever my re-checkup was to see how things were going, they would ask me how things are. They're still the same. I don't understand what's going on. This medicine isn't working. Okay, well, maybe we have you on the wrong medicine. Maybe we have you on the wrong milligrams. So we'll switch the medicines, we'll up the dosages, we'll see you back in another 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it was. And I would go back and redo the cycle again. Okay, maybe those medicines weren't good. Let's put you on these cocktails and let's change the milligrams. They could never pinpoint why the medicines were never working. And it was all due to the fact that I had drugs and alcohol in my system. And it didn't matter what type of medicine or what dosages they were going to put me on. They weren't going to work because of the drugs and alcohol in my system.
Yeah.
This went on from the age of 21 all the way up until the age of 44, till the day I went into rehab.
Oh my goodness.
And I would do the whole, I don't need this medicine. The shit doesn't work anyway. So I would just stop taking it. And 3 or 4 months would go by, and then I'd have a manic mode, or I'd have a major depression mode, and then I'd go back to the doctor and get put back on the medicine, and think I'd be fine for a couple months, and then say, you know what, I don't need medicine, and again, I'm fine. I'm gonna stop taking it, and it was just a roller coaster for 20 plus years, just like on and off, on and off, on and off, just quitting it, stop taking it. The entire time I was drinking, doing drugs. I met my wife when I came back from the military, and within 3 years, by the time I was 23, going on 24, we had our first daughter. We moved in together. I had a decent job. I was paying my bills. I was going to work. I had a car, but I was still drinking every day. I was still smoking pot every day. I was still eating painkillers whenever I could get my hands on them. Maybe
So I
eating
guess
some
you were called a functioning
function. Yeah, I was a functioning addict, and
addict.
to me, I was in my 20s and I was having fun. My bills were paid and my responsibilities were taken care of, so it wasn't a problem for me, And the medicine thing, I was kind of just like, well, you know what, the medicine stuff doesn't work anyway. I'll just drink and smoke pot and take painkillers because that seems to work better for me. I was I was self-medicating, because
Yeah.
that's what I figured. So going into my later 20s, we then had my second daughter. And through this time, through the age of 21, all the way up until we had our third daughter in the 30s, I was losing jobs left and right. I couldn't hold a
Oh,
job longer for like about a year. Um, from the time I got out of the Marine Corps up until now, I'm 46. I have had 46 jobs.
holy moly. That's like
And
moving all the time.
it's like literally I've had a job since I was 1 year old every single year. But it'd be 3 months, 6 months, 1 month. I would quit or get bored with it or just say this isn't for me. I want to do something else. And it was all due to my mental illness and my addiction. I just
Yeah.
I would call out of work, not feel like going, and then one day would lead into a week, and then I just wouldn't go back. And now that I'm looking back on it, it was all due to my addiction and mental illness.
Well, what was your spouse saying about all of this?
She.
Is that a bad question?
No, because that woman has put up with more than anybody I think I've ever known as friend wise, or that anybody has put up with. She is the most loyal human being I've ever met in my entire life. She comes from her parents were high school sweethearts, and they were married both until the day they unfortunately died in the early 60s, both from cancer.
Oh,
But they were married, they never divorced, and she grew up with, once you get married, that's it.
yeah.
And honestly, for me, I'm the same way, because seeing my parents divorce and what it did to me, I didn't, and I still don't ever want to put my children through that. So I'm a one and done. I get married, I'm done. If anything ever happens, I'm never getting married again. Like, she's my best friend. She's my lover. She's everything to me. And she would just be, what's wrong? You can't not have a job for longer than a month. You got to find another job. And she put up with it, and she dealt with it, and bless her heart, she stuck by me the entire time.
I think that's what we need, we need support during those times.
We do, because there's so many times and reasons she could have just said, you know what, I can't do. I'm taking the kids. You got to figure this out on your own, but I can't have this unstable relationship.
Right. And she could have done that many times in that 20 years.
Absolutely. And she rightfully so probably should have, to be honest with you. But she'll tell you, she goes, I'm a Leo, and I'm loyal to the end, and I stick by you, and that's what she'll say. So, she deserves a damn medal, to be honest with you.
I think so. I'll send her one myself.
Yeah. So, I got to be, become 32, and I lost probably my 30th or some job. And my wife, she said, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know. I don't want to work right now. And she said, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And I said, I really miss sports. I really miss being a part of something. I really miss, working out and going to the gym and having self-esteem, because I'd lost it through the years. And she says, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to fight again. I miss stepping in a combat situation one-on-one, because it's me or them. It's all me.
It's the adrenaline rush.
It's the adrenaline rush. She said, okay. She said, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to do mixed martial arts. And she said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 1 year. She's like, our bills are pretty much paid. You're collecting unemployment. She's like, 1 year. If nothing comes of this after 1 year, you've got to let it go, and you got to get a full-time job, and that's it, and no more of this. So
that
she
sounded really fair, actually.
Absolutely, it did, right? It was kind of like her last, like, this is it. Like, you get one more shot, do what you want to do, because you're like a wild stallion. You just keep coming and going. and this is it. After this, you better get this shit out of your system, because that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I started training. I started getting fights in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, Baltimore. And that 1 year ended up leading to a 3-year mixed martial arts career, and me fighting on TV and Harris Casino and different up and down, Atlantic City. And I wasn't making that much money. I was making like $1,500 a fight, but I had my self-esteem back. I felt worthy of something. I felt as if I had a purpose. I was doing something with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, coming out of the locker room and coming out to the lights and the music and the people cheering, and that adrenaline, that euphoria of coming out, feeling like a god, no drug or alcohol has ever matched that feeling in my entire life.
Right.
Except for being in the Marines, when I've done cool training and stuff like that. That feeling of feeling unstoppable, I think I've been looking for that my entire time, and I found it in fighting.
Or at home plate in baseball or something, where you
absolutely,
you gotta, you're the last one, and it's two out and strike two, and you got to do
Right.
something. Let's
It's up
get
to
the game
you.
on, right?
Yeah, it's up to you, you know. And so my third year came, and I'm 35 now, and I have a fight, and I tear my rotator cuff.
Oh,
And I go into the locker room, and I can't lift my arm. My trainer helps me put the shirt on, and I go out to the casino, and I got 30, I think 30 or 40 friends and family members out there waiting for me. And my wife hands me a beer, and I grab it with my left hand. And now, even though I am left-handed, I'm primarily right-handed. I do everything. I'm kind of ambidextrous. I do a little bit of both, but I hold everything with my right hand. And she notices that I grab it with my left hand, and she says, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know. I can't lift my arm." And she's like, "That's it. You're done." She's like, "That's it. Now we have to go to the doctor and see what's going on." So the next week we go to the doctor, and he confirms that I tore my labrum in 3 places, and I have to have major
oh,
surgery on my rotator cuff. At the age of 35, that starts me on a 4.5 year long opioid addiction to painkillers
oh
prescribed to me
no.
by my doctor.
Oh, just like the celebrities. All those
Yeah.
celebrities
Yep,
have all done the same thing.
absolutely. You know, and I'm 46 now, so we're talking 11 years ago, and what the stipulation, or the I guess the rules they have in place now, they weren't as stringent. I could just go to my doctor every 30 days and just get a refill, and there was no questions asked. There wasn't a form to fill out. I didn't have to see a pain management clinic. Not anything that they're doing now, which I think is great that they're trying to change that.
Hmm.
But I could literally just go and get a 90-day prescription, and without fail. And he started me off with the hydrocodones, and I'd go back. How they working for you? I'm like, they're not really taking the edge off. Okay, well, we'll put you on Percocet 10s, you
Oh
know.
dear.
And then I'd go back 30, 60, whatever the prescription was. How the Percocets working? Well, they're really making my stomach cramp up. You know, I can't use the restroom. I don't really like the Percocets. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll put you on Oxycontins. They're not
Oh.
addictive. It's been shown that they're not addictive. You can stop them whenever, and we'll put you on 20 milligram Oxycontins. Sounds good to me. So now I'm on 20 milligram Oxycontins. I'm drinking a 12-pack of beer a day and smoking pot. This goes on for 4 years. 12-pack a day, sometimes 18 beers a day. I'm taking 8 to 10, 20 milligram Oxycontins, and probably smoking an eighth or a quarter of weed every single day.
And it's not because you have any pain.
No, no, because to be honest with you, it's weird how the pain medicine works. When you're actually in pain, it works. When the pain goes away and you take the pain medicine, you then think you're in pain and you hurt more, so then you want to take more. That's
Oh, isn't that
the
weird?
the addictive disease on how that works. You're not really in pain, but your arm is still hurting, and you need to take more. Well, now it's not working. Why isn't the pain going away? I need to take more because it's not working. You built your tolerance up. It's not going to work, you know, and you continuously have to take more and more and more and more and more. And I get to a point where I'm scared. I'm like, I drink a 12-pack of beer a day. I eat 8 to 10, 20 milligram Oxycontins. I'm going to go to sleep one night and not wake up, because this is how it happens. People get used to taking this much and drinking this much. They're accustomed to it, and they just do what they always do. And the next morning, they don't wake up.
Yeah.
And my addictive personality steps in, and my mental illness. And I'm like, well, you know what? Screw this. If I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to do it my damn self. And I reach over on my nightstand, and I open up my pill bottle, and I have 18 Oxycontins. I take all 18 of them, and I go into the living room, and I crack my 12-pack of beer, and I drink all 12 beers within like 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I go into the bedroom, and I remember laying on the bed, and I said, "Dear God, please don't let me wake up anymore, because I don't want to live this way. I just want the pain to stop, but please don't let me wake up." And I remember passing out. I wake up the next day, like 16, 18 hours later, I forget. And I remember waking up and being in a fog. And the first thing I remember is saying, "Oh my God, I'm alive. how in the hell did I live through that?
How did
And
you?
I I have it's crazy. I didn't even go through withdrawals when I went into rehab for alcoholism, and it was that bad. My roommate looked at me and was like, "What the hell are you?" He's like, "How are you not going through withdrawals? How are you not having seizures?" He's like, "I don't understand." So I look back at it now, and I understand now that I wasn't meant to, and I'm not going to die by addiction or alcoholism, and my body performs different than a lot of people, and maybe it's because of that is why I lived, because I didn't react. That would have killed a lot of people.
You have an angel on your shoulder.
I do, and I'm actually about to get to that. So I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm alive. Why am I here? And I go into the bathroom and I have my refill bottle of 30 sitting on the counter, and I open it up and I dump all 30 of them down the toilet.
Oh.
And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I said, this is going to get bad, but you need to remember how this feels, because I never want to go through this again. I don't care how bad this gets. We're never taking pain medicine ever again. And for the next 10 days, I was probably, I think, the sickest I think I have ever been in my entire life. The night sweats, the night terrors, the insomnia, the shivering, the panic attacks, the anxiety, the throwing up, the going to the bathroom, the fevers, the sweats, the whole deal. But every morning when I woke up, I would look in the mirror and I would remind myself, we're never doing this again. We're never, ever taking pain medicine again. Don't forget this feeling. And I get through the 10 days, and I'm kind of like, you know what? I need to go for a ride and clear my head. I just need to get out and go for a drive. And we have this beautiful park, which is like 10 minutes from my house. And people go fishing and hiking and walk their dogs and picnic and stuff. And it's this really beautiful reservoir. And I get in my truck and I'm driving through, it's windy woods, and I'm crying and I'm banging on the steering wheel, and I'm like, why did I survive? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I going through all this pain? Like, what is your plan for me? I don't understand why I lived. Like, is there something else out there? Because I don't understand and I don't know. And I get around to the bend where my senior year of high school, my best friend, unfortunately at the age of 18, lost control of his vehicle, hit the tree, and he lost his life at the age of 18. And I get to the tree, and his parents put a picture of him up on the tree, and they have a book there. And this happened December 27th, 1996, the day that he died. This is March 16th, 2017, 21 years later. And I get to the tree, and the book is still there, and this picture's still up on the tree. And I get out of my truck, and I go up to the tree. And I'm like, Bill, I need a sign. I need to know that there's something else out there, because I don't have any faith that there's a real God. Because if there's a real God, why would he put me through so much misery and pain? If he loved me so much, why would he let me suffer this bad? I just don't understand. I need a sign that there's something else out there, that there's something watching over me or something, because I'm lost. And I get in my truck and I go to leave the park. As I'm leaving the park, I'm crying and like I'm snotting, like I can't barely drive. And I pull over on the side of the road, but I pull over on the wrong side of the road because the right side was all people were parked and there was no place to park. So I kind of pull over when oncoming traffic, but I pull over onto the curb. And I'm sitting there, and about 10 minutes goes by. And I see this man pull up in his truck, or his car, sorry. And he gets out and he opens his back door and he grabs his dog. He's about to go walk his dog across the street at the water. And I'm looking at this man and I'm like, man, he looks awfully familiar. And I look at him, I'm like, oh my God. And then it dawns on me. It was my best friend who died in 1996. It was his father.
Oh my goodness.
I hadn't seen this man in 21 years, since the day of my friend's funeral, December 27th, 1996. Again, this is March 16th, 2017. I'll never forget this day. And I get out of my truck and I say, Mr. Bill, is that you? And he looks over at me. He's like, Timmy, what's wrong? And I fall to the curb and I start crying. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. I don't know why I lived. I tried killing myself. And he walks over to me and he puts his hand on my shoulder. And he says, Tim, I'm not supposed to be here this morning.
Oh,
I'm supposed to be in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach at a family reunion trip. My bags are packed in my truck. I was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. this morning. My wife came to me in a dream last night and told me to come to this park this morning at 10 a.m. to walk the dog. I believe I was sent here to see you. And I looked at him and I said, Mr. Bill, I just stopped at Billy's tree and asked him for a sign that I wasn't alone, that something was out there and something was watching over me. And he said, Tim, I think that was Bill. And we hugged, and he told me everything was going to be okay. And I get in my truck and I'm driving out of the park and I got this feeling like, wow, I'm not alone. There's something else out there. Everything's going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'm being protected. And my mental illness and my addiction steps in and says, you're
uh-oh.
absolutely right. Nothing is going to happen to you. You are being protected. So you don't have to stop drinking because nothing is going to happen to you.
Oh,
So for the
gosh.
that's how cunning and baffling.
And you didn't flick him off your shoulder and say, get the hell out of here?
That's the disease of addiction. It keeps coming and keeps coming until it takes your life.
Yeah.
It's cunning, baffling, and tricky, and it tries everything it wants
Sneaks
to.
in.
Its ultimate goal is death. That's how addiction works. And it says, you don't have to stop drinking because everything's going to be okay. So from March 17th to March 5th, 2021, I drank the most alcohol I have ever drank in my entire life.
Oh, my God.
The 12 to 18 beers weren't doing it. It just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. Because now, now I don't have any painkillers. I'm used to having my pain pills, my alcohol, and my pot. So what's going to fulfill that little void of no painkillers? I know, whiskey. Let me start drinking some whiskey because that shit's almost instant. You take 2 or 3 shots of that, you get that warm feeling that the painkillers used to give me, and then I could drink my beers. So it started off with me getting 4 or 5 miniatures of the Fireball whiskey, and I would shoot them back real quick and then drink my 12 beers because that gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling that the painkillers used to give me. I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. That's what I'm missing. Eventually, the beers completely stopped, and it got to the point where I would stop at the liquor store at 7 a.m. in the morning before work, and I would get a sleeve of Fireball miniatures, which is 10 of them, and I would drink all 10 of those by 1 o'clock. As soon as I got off work at 3:30, I immediately went right to the first liquor store that was close to where I was working. I would grab 10 more of the miniatures. I would finish all 10 of those by 8:30 in the evening,
Oh,
and I'd be back at the liquor store and I'd get 10 more. Sometimes finish 10. I mean, if I didn't pass out, but if I passed out, I'd at least get 5 of them in me before I passed out. And one day I had the bright idea of how much alcohol is in one of these. So I took one of the Fireball miniatures. There's 2.5 shots in one of those miniatures. I was drinking 25 to 30 a day for over a year and a half. So I was drinking upwards of 65 to 80 shots of whiskey every single day. And it's funny, the reason I never got a big bottle of whiskey is because I didn't want to know exactly how much alcohol I was drinking.
oh,
The miniatures, I could drink them and throw them out my window while I was driving, or throw them in the yard, or throw them in a trash can and kind of forget. Oh, I didn't drink that much. I can go get another 10. No big deal. I didn't have that much. It was, again, that's the way addiction and my mental illness was kind of playing tricks on me. Don't get the big bottle because then you'll be accountable because then you really know exactly how much alcohol you're drinking. So the miniatures were good too because I could hide them in my sock drawer in the medicine cabinet. I could hide them in the basement away from my wife, and she wouldn't know exactly how much I was drinking.
and what was the
So
purpose in all of that, do you think?
I was numbing pain. I didn't want to deal with life. I didn't want to deal with all the disappointments in my life. One being the Marine Corps, that I couldn't finish out my enlistment. 2, all the jobs that I had lost, and I wasn't able to, take care of my family properly and give them the the life that they deserved or the house that they deserved and the clothes and put them in the schools that I believe that they should be going to. A lot of it
So
was self
it's almost like
and
you're not good enough for yourself.
that's the way I've always been. If I wasn't the best at something, I would just stop doing it. And I was usually the best at anything that I ever did. When I played sports, I was the all-star pitcher. When I was in football, I was the all-star running back. When I was skateboarding, I was almost professional. Boxing, I didn't just box locally. I fought in the Junior Olympics. When I was in the Marine Corps, I graduated as the guide, which is the top guy in the platoon. Everything I did was always excelled. So I was used to that. And when I didn't do that for my kids and my wife, I felt like a failure. And I didn't want to deal with that every day. So drinking and drugging could numb that and get away from it until it came back and resurfaced. And then I'd have to drink and drug more to suppress that and push it away and keep it as far away as possible. So I didn't have to think about it and deal with it.
right.
So it came to the last year of my alcoholism, and I just get a brand new truck, and I'm driving to the liquor store to go get my 10-pack of Fireball. And I'm driving home and I hit something. And I still to this day have no idea what I hit. I don't know if it was a parked car, a street sign, a concrete barrier on the side of the road. I have no recollection whatsoever what I hit. But it was only a block away. So I was able to pull into my driveway. And I remember coming in and walking in and telling my wife, I hit something. I'm going to bed. I'm not dealing with this shit tonight. Good night. And I go to sleep. I wake up that next morning like a good blackout drunk and, hey, good morning. I'm going to go to the grocery store and get milk and bread. You guys need anything for breakfast? And she looks at me and she's like, how are you going to do that? I said, in my brand new truck in the driveway. It was only a month old. It was brand new. It's outside. Tim, go look at your truck. So I go outside and the passenger side mirror is completely gone. It's off my truck. And my front passenger tires up underneath the bumper. I have no idea how I drove it home. I literally don't. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and she pops her head out the front door, and she's like, you don't know what you hit last night, do you? I said, no, I don't remember at all. She's like, Tim, you could have killed yourself. You could have killed somebody else. I don't want you around the girls anymore. You have to leave. You have to go and figure this out. But as long as you're drinking, I don't want you here by the family. I don't want you by my girls. You got to go. So I called AAA. They came over to put a spare on my truck. I called my buddy. I said, hey, can I come maybe hang out at your house for a couple of days? Let things cool down and blow over. She'll forget about this in a couple of days and let me back in. And he's like, yeah, sure, man. Come on over. So I go over his house and we talked for a little bit. And his bright idea was like, well, your wife kicked you out, man. It's Friday night.
Uh-oh.
We might as well go to the bar because,
no.
there's nothing else to do. And I'm like, you know what? Exactly. Now I got a reason to drink. My wife just kicked me out of my house. That's a damn good reason to go drinking. So this is less than like 12 hours later. Go to the bar. We get completely shit-faced. And as I'm leaving the bar, I rear-end somebody at the red light.
Oh.
And I get out.
When you think it just doesn't get any worse.
Right. I get out and I look at the guy. I'm like, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm okay. Luckily, he had a tow hitch on the back of his truck. His truck was completely fine, but my front bumper was now smashed in where the tow hitch hit it. And I'm like, well, you're okay. Your truck's okay. I'm out of here, man. And I slapped him on his back and I got in my truck and I took off. If the cops came, I was going to jail for DUI. And I was getting into some big trouble, and I was not dealing with that. So I got in my truck, and I took off. Get to my friend's house, and I'm like, I can't. I just got to go be by myself, man. I can't stay here with you. I got to go. He's like, okay. So I leave his house. I stop at the liquor store. I get 10 more miniatures.
Oh, no.
And I go and I park at one of those parking rides where people park for the day and catch a train or a bus and go to work. And I park my truck. I turn my truck off. I turn my phone off. I don't want to hear nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to sit there and think about the last 27 years of disappointments and letdowns and arguments that I've caused and jobs that I've lost and just everything that I've gone through. A whole damn pity party of of me,
Of you,
of me,
yourself, and you.
absolutely. And I sat there and I listened to sad ass music for 48 hours and had my phone off for 48 hours. And I would just drink and pass out and drink and pass out and drink and pass out. And finally, at the end of the 48 hours, I turned my phone on at 7 after 10 in the morning, March 5th, 2021. And 2 minutes later, the phone rings. This is after 2 days of it being completely off. And I look down and it says Westchester, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, who the hell is this? So I pick it up. It's my childhood friend, Brandon Novak. And I'm going to say the way he says it because it has the way that he
More
says
meaning.
it really, yeah. He's like, Lodgen, what the fuck are you doing? And I said, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm drunk, and I'm tired. And he says, good, motherfucker. That's what you need. I just got off the phone with your wife and your mom. I have a plane ticket set for you that I got ready to leave tonight at 8:30 p.m. I got you into Banyan Treatment Centers down in West Palm Beach, Florida. You're going to get on that plane and you're going to go get your life back. And I'm on the other line just like, okay, yeah. I'm pretty much just agreeing with him so I could just hang up the phone. I wasn't trying to hear about rehab at that point. Okay, man, okay. I hang up the phone. 5 minutes goes by and my wife calls me. Hey, where are you? We've been trying to call you for 2 days. Brandon said he talked to you. Can you please come home and pack your bags, take a shower, try to take a nap, and eat something?
Can you imagine how worried she was?
Everybody was trying. I'm just still finding out today at 20 months sober that when I speak to people, they said they were trying to call me and still couldn't get in touch with me. A couple of my friends from the Marine Corps that I served with, they said they were worried about me sick. They called 3 or 4 or 5 times. I never knew it. I just found out last week from one of my brothers that he tried to call me. I never knew it until just now. And so I go home. I had about 3 to 4 hours for the plane left. So I pack my bags. I take a shower. I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. I'm in full-on anxiety and panic attack mode because holy shit, I've got to go to rehab in Florida. How long am I going for? Is it a 30-day, 60-day, 90, 6-month program? Like, are you kidding me? I've got to go to Florida now. How did I let my life get so bad that I've got to go into treatment? And I'm sitting on the edge of my bed and I can't do it. I can't do this. There's no way. I cannot go to treatment. And my addiction steps in one last time.
Damn.
And
Damn devil.
It says, come with me. And it grabs my hand. And I walk to the basement of my home and I throw a rope around my neck.
Oh, God.
And I stand up on a bucket. And about 30, 40 seconds go by and my wife realizes I'm not in the bedroom anymore. And she comes down to our basement and sees me in the corner of our home, hysterically crying with a rope around my neck, standing on a bucket. And she says, what are you doing? And I said again, I can't do this. I just want the pain to stop and I don't know how to stop it. And she looks at me and says, do you know what this will do to your little girls? Please get down and get on that plane. Get on that plane and everything is going to be okay. I think about another minute goes by and I take the rope off around my neck and I fall to the floor and I'm crying. And I go upstairs and I call my friend. I said, hey, I'm going. I got to go. If I don't get on that plane, this is going to kill me, and I don't want to die. I want to live for my kids and my wife and myself. And all he says is, I'm proud of you. I love you. Call me when you pass security because I want to make sure you're actually getting on the plane. And he hangs up the phone. My mom comes a couple hours later, picks me up, drives me to the airport. I get through security. I call him. I say, hey, I got about 35 minutes till the plane leaves. I just want you to know I'm getting on and I'm going. And all he says is, I'm proud of you. I love you. You're about to get back everything that you've ever lost times 10. And he hangs up the phone. As I go to sit down at this chair in the airport waiting for them to call me to board the plane. As I sit down at the airport, I get this overwhelming feeling of hope that comes over my entire body. It was the same warm blanket feeling that drugs and alcohol gave me. But this time, my worry, my doubt, my fear, my panic, my anxiety all leave my body at once. And I hear this warm woman's voice in my head, which I've never heard before or since. And she simply says, everything is going to be okay. It was the most amazing experience I have ever felt in my entire life. I truly believe I had a spiritual awakening at that airport. When I got to the rehab and I walked in and the doctors did all my tests, they called me back in the next day. They said, how old are you? I said, I'm 44.
They probably want to know how come your body is still in one
Yeah.
piece.
He says, you're 44. I'm like, yeah. He says, your blood pressure is 167 over 145. You're on the verge of having a stroke. Your liver and kidney enzymes are 4 times what they should be. You're almost about to have liver failure. He's like, if you wouldn't have came when you did, if you would have waited another month and you got sober even afterwards, he said you would have died before the age of 47 from cirrhosis and complications due to alcoholism. You literally came at the exact time to save your life and for your liver to rejuvenate and recover and your blood pressure to get back and everything. He said if you would have waited another week, you wouldn't have made it to your 47th birthday. When I got to rehab, I didn't miss a meeting. I went to extra meetings for military veterans and first responders. I changed my diet. I started working out with a personal trainer. And I started having faith in a power greater than myself because I didn't have faith. And I truly believe that's why I was lost for so long. I didn't believe that there was something else out there, even though I had these little tidbits of somebody trying to slap me and say, hey, you're not alone. There's something else out here. I ignored them due to the alcoholism and drug addiction. And there was this gentleman in rehab where he would walk the perimeter every single day, 4 miles a day, and he would read this book. At first, I thought he was batshit crazy. I'm like, this guy's just walking around, and he doesn't talk to nobody, he's reading this book. I had to know what he was doing one day. So I said, excuse me, what are you doing? He said, oh, I walk to clear my mind, and I read the Bible. And I said, oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. He said, yeah. He said, it gets me centered and stuff like that. He said, but I don't push on nobody. He said, because whatever anybody believes is their thing. Because that's not me. I don't try to push what I believe on somebody else. He said, but it helps me. I said, that's really cool. He said, hey, but I'm telling you, can I ask you something? He said, every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have a little meeting out underneath the vestibule. He's like, and I just say a word for the day. It could be hope or honesty or anything. It's a random word out of a book. He says, and I read what that word means. He says, then I say a daily reflection for that day. He says, then I say a short prayer. He goes, and then we go to our first meeting for the day. He said, would you like to join me tomorrow at 8 o'clock? And I said, you know what? Sure. It can't hurt. I'll be there at 8 o'clock.
Sounds fair.
Right. Next morning comes, I go and I show up, and he comes over to him and he says, thank you. And I said, what? He goes, you're the first person that said they would show up. They actually showed up. That really means something to me. I said, no problem. I said, I told you I would do it. I'm here. And he opens up the book, and the word he's reading for the day is hope. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I stopped believing in coincidences at that moment. There's no coincidence that my friend tried to reach me in the park. There's no coincidence that my buddy called me 2 days after being in the truck. There's no coincidence I made it to rehab the exact time I needed to save my life. And that word just happened to be hope. The first day I just decided to go to the meeting because I said I would. There's no coincidences. That was meant to happen for me to understand that I am not alone, that there is something else out there, and that I do have a purpose.
But it's tough. It's bloody tough, I'll tell you. right?
It
Those,
does. And
those little negative people that come on that shoulder of yours, are you getting stronger to be able to flick them off?
I now know that those 27 years, it didn't happen to me. It happened for me. It happened for me to understand how great and precious this gift of life is that we're all given. I don't take anything for granted anymore. I used to be the guy, half class, like, where's the rest of my drink? Where's the ice cubes? Why isn't it overflowing? Now, I am just thankful if there's something at the bottom of that cup to quench my thirst, because that's all I need. I don't need the things that I want. I have my health, I have my family, I have my sobriety, and I have a second chance in life. I'm not going to waste it. I wasted 27 years of my life, and I took everyone and everything in it for granted. And I was lost, and I didn't have a purpose. I now know that what I went through is something that I need to share to help other people so that they understand and know that they're not alone. They're not the only ones that go through this. There are so many people who deal with things that they think nobody could possibly know the pain that I'm going through. Nobody's going to understand. I don't want to bother them with my problems. It's just, it's not their problem.
They're not going to understand anyways.
Yeah. We are all going through something, each one of us.
Yeah.
Some of us hide it better than others. Some of us don't talk about it. Some of us turn to an addiction. And unfortunately, some of us take our own lives. If we all just understood, if we talked about it, if we reached out to somebody, how much better you would feel. Even if it's just to vent about something. That person might just need a damn hug. That person might just need somebody to say, I'm proud of you. Keep going. I believe in you. You can do it.
Listen.
Just to listen. Just some words of encouragement.
No judgment.
No judgment. And that's why I like speaking to people with mental illness and addiction, because I don't speak with sympathy. I speak with empathy, because I know exactly where they were. That dark, deep, scary place of suicide is something that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
No.
You literally feel hopeless. You feel there's no other way out but to leave this world. Now, this whole entire time, I was trapped in this cage that I thought there was no way out. When in reality, I was the one that was holding the key the entire time. I just had to be opened up and aware of it. Now I know the more I speak, the more people I can reach. One more person that I can help is one less that we lose to addiction, disease, or suicidal thoughts, or going through it. So I found my purpose. I know why I went through all that stuff. I know I need to share. And it's not an ego thing. I don't get paid. This isn't,
but it's very healing.
It makes me feel as if I'm doing something right for the first time in my life. I'm helping people without anything in return. I don't expect anything. And that is such a great feeling. I'm coming up on 20 months sober after 27 years. And my life has changed more than anybody ever could have told me it was. Like I told you before, I just got back from California speaking at an event for first responders and veterans about mental health and suicide prevention. The month before, I was in North Carolina speaking about Overdose Awareness Month. The month before that, I was in Philadelphia. Next month, I get to go to Canada and speak and share my story. These opportunities have only arisen. I truly believe it's because I keep giving back, and I expect nothing back. So the more I give, the more I get. I always thought that was a kind of a bullshit thing growing up when my mom said, the more you give, the more you get back in return. I'm like, no, the more I give, the more I lose. Like I'm giving it away. How does that work? It's the truth. The more you give of yourself, the more people give back to you. And that feeling is something that money could never buy.
No,
It's a feeling of
money and drugs or alcohol can't
no,
buy.
absolutely not. It's just I'm a miracle to be alive. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be speaking to you, to be able to share my story. I thank you for having a podcast to allow me to share my story, to reach people. And, you know, I wouldn't change any of it because I wouldn't be the person I am today if any
Exactly.
single thing of that was changed. So I don't regret any of it. I don't look back on it. I don't do the whole woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. This is me. This is what I
Just
went
learn from
through.
your lessons
And that's it. And I move forward now. And I'm grateful. To be honest with you, I'm grateful for the hell I went through because it allows me to understand how precious this is.
and you're fighting again, aren't you?
Now, actually, I'm bodybuilding. Um,
You're taking up
transfer.
what your mom was doing.
I am, and March of this past year, I came in third place in the Muscle and Fitness magazine competition out of 10,000 people, and
Awesome. Way to go,
I
Tim.
and I was sad, to be honest with you. First place was
Because you
25.
came third.
Right, right. For this again, I'm still working on things. Now, here I am. I bust my ass for a year and a half. I come in third place, right? First place was $25,000, the cover of a magazine. You get flown all over to all these PR events and seminars and all this cool stuff. It would have changed my life. And my mom calls me. She says, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, came in third. She goes, "Yeah, I know." I said, kind of bummed. She said, "Are you kidding me right now?" I said, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Tim, everything that you've went through and how you've been able to transform your life and touch all these people with your story. You won, son. In my eyes, you are a winner, and I'm so proud of you." She's like, "So what? You didn't get first place, but you won. You turned your life back around, and you're heading in a direction I never thought I'd ever see before I died." She's like, "I love you. I'm so proud of you." And I hung up the phone, and I was like, "You know
Damn
what?
third.
Yep. That I still got to remind myself to be grateful every day about certain things. Life is life. It comes at you no matter what."
Yes.
So I hung up the phone. I'm like, you know what? She's absolutely right. Here I am having a little pity party about myself, and you know how many people would have died to come in third place? Do you know how many people would have died to be able to be physically fit enough to even be in the competition? How many people aren't able to go to the gym and do any physical calisthenics? How many people are in wheelchairs? How many people are sick and dying? I'm able to do these things. And she really opened my eyes up to that. And, I was
I
supposed
know,
to,
but for the person who has the mindset like you, who wants to be first or
yeah,
really good at it, right? That's tough. Like
it
third
is.
is
It
like
is.
not winning anything. It's like,
No, but and like
you
my
know,
cousin said, he's like, "You made the podium." He's like, "Not too many people make the podium." I
yeah,
was like,
that's right.
"Very true." So, and I got all these people at the gym. They're like, "Dude, your transformation is incredible." I have my pictures on my Instagram before and after. So like, it's phenomenal. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we would die to be in your position. So,
Yeah, yeah, for
um,
sure.
but it's something I grew up seeing my entire life. My uncle was Mr. Universe in the '70s. My mom was a bodybuilder for 12 years of my life. My cousin was Mr. Maryland for a couple of years. So it's in my family. I've always wanted to do it, but drugs and alcohol and my mindset was never there. But now I have nothing stopping me. I'm not getting any younger, and I have determination and consistency now, and I'm going to do it. I was supposed to be competing November 5th, but it got pushed back to I think April of this year. So it gives me a couple more months to prepare.
Oh, good.
So, but I'm going to continue to do it. I've always wanted to do it, and
Good for you.
no,
I want to hear that first or second spot this time.
yeah, no, I'm going to keep going, and again, I'm thankful to be alive to be able to exercise.
Yes. And have a
It's
regular family life. I mean,
my family, my wife will tell you now.
uh-oh.
She has to pull teeth for me to even argue about anything. she says the house is so different. She said, I used to pull in the driveway and be scared of what I was walking into. Were you the funny, goofy dad? Were you the out of control, nasty, irritated person that nobody wanted to be around? She's like, I pull up to the driveway, she says, and I come home and it's peaceful and it's tranquil. There's no anxiety. We all eat dinner together. We all watch movies together. We all laugh. It's a
It's amazing.
completely different home life. You know, my girls are happy. I have two grandsons now. My oldest is
Oh,
23.
wow.
Yeah, my oldest is 23.
Holy
So
cow.
I have a 4-year-old grandson and a 5-month-old grandson. And my oldest daughter,
Wow.
she texted me like about 2 months ago, and she just said, Dad, because she's seen it all. She's 23. She's seen her
More
dad,
than the other
her
ones?
more than the other one.
Yeah.
23, 14, and 11. So she's seen it all, and she texted me and she said, Dad, I'm so proud of you. I am so thankful to have my dad back, and I'm so thankful that my boys will have a pop to look up to. And I'm so grateful. And that's where it is. That's people say, what's happiness? You know, how do you become happy? Happiness comes from within, but it also comes from the people that you love, the people that you cherish, and the time you get to spend with them and the memories you get to make with them. And I'm glad to be present. I'm glad to
Yes.
be cognizant to be with everybody and to make the memories. And alcohol and drugs promised and took everything from me, and I'm coming for everything they promised and took from me. I'm coming for all
And
of it.
yeah, every little bit.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. What a story, Tim. You going to be in a movie one day, you think?
You know, people have been asking me to write a book.
Absolutely.
I think I might, because there's a lot of things I don't talk about in the podcast. I try to generalize it to the main points, but I've done a lot of things and been a lot of things. I've accomplished a lot of things that I don't talk about, but it all got taken away by
You
drugs and
got
alcohol.
all absorbed
You
by
know,
this
but
crazy.
the one thing that is consistent in me is, even though I did give up a couple times, I've always fought back. I'm a fighter. I always do end up coming back from something. And that's the way my whole entire life has been. I think I was born this way for a reason. Not too many people could have withstood what I went through.
No,
Um,
there sure aren't.
there has to be a reason, and I have to believe that.
And it's all types of people too. It's homeless people, it's celebrities, and that's a huge range of types of people that it's affecting.
It doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't know
It
any
does
color, shape, or form
no.
or anything.
Doesn't care how much money you have in your bank account. It doesn't care what house you live in. It doesn't care.
No,
Mental illness and addiction does not care.
no.
I mean, Robin Williams, prime example.
Yeah.
Beautiful man. And
Michael Jackson. We
Michael
could name it. I
Jackson.
just watched the Elvis movie.
Yeah.
Elvis was the same thing, and his poor Priscilla was saying, "Go to rehab for your daughter. Go."
Yep.
And he didn't.
That's the scariest thing about mental illnesses and addiction, is because, it's waiting out in the parking lot doing push-ups. It's getting stronger and stronger. It's waiting for that one moment to where you're really weak or something happens in your life, and they're like, "Here I am, buddy. I've been waiting for you. Come on back out." And then you lose your life.
And this is your test again.
Absolutely.
Are you going to go for it, or are you going to turn the other way?
Absolutely.
Damn. I just flicked that person right off my shoulder.
I'll tell you what really helps me is every morning when I wake up, I say 5 things I'm grateful for before I get out of bed. It could just be, I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful that I woke up the next morning. I just list 5 random things.
I'm glad I didn't snore last night, whatever it is.
Something. It starts your day off in a positive mindset. And they have that 5-second rule, and it really does work. If you start thinking something negative, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It actually resets your thoughts, and you think about something else. That negativity goes away. So it's like I tell my daughter, she's a very emotional 14-year-old daughter. and I can't go see, I can't go see my girlfriends this weekend. Why can't I go? Well, because you're failing school. You got to do your homework. That's a privilege. I said, honey, your brain is like a garden. You got the weeds on the one hand and the roses on the other. Okay, whichever side of that garden you water is the one that's going to grow. Stop watering the weeds, start watering the roses, and that's going to grow, and the weeds will eventually go away. Start focusing on your schoolwork, start focusing on the things that you have to do, and everything that you want will come to you because you've earned it. You've put in the work. It's just little tiny things that help me.
And look at, you're giving it back to everybody else now.
I believe I have to. I can't. This was given to me so freely and so openly by my friend with nothing in return, nothing expected in return. I have to do the same thing. And that's how this program works. It's a we program. We help each other. You can't do this alone. It has to be a village helping each other.
Absolutely.
Because we all have different experiences. We all have different opinions. We all have different things that maybe worked for you that maybe won't work for me, but it'll work for them. And so,
or you say it in a little tiny bit different way and it
absolutely
clicks for some reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a collective effort that we help each other. And there's a huge stigma behind addiction and mental illness that I think people really need to put it away, because it affects every single person, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it. You shouldn't be embarrassed of it. It's okay. It's okay if you're feeling these certain ways. It really, truly is.
Do you want to talk about your shirt? Because this was no coincidence either.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny, because I had another shirt on, and I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna wear this today. I'm feeling kind of
yellow
alive
today.
and yellow. Yeah, but this is hashtag Light It Up, and what it is, I'm part of two 501c3 nonprofit organizations. This one is Rockstar Testimony. It is founded by Sandra Lee and Dusty Simmers. Both women overcome mental illness, PTSD, trauma, and addiction. They formed this 501c3 nonprofit to help others. They're advocates to get them into treatment, just to talk to them. Every Thursday night through this 501c3, I actually host on Zoom at 7 p.m. Eastern a men's mental health and addiction group it's open to the public. You go on loveandlighttotheworld.org and you click on my name on Thursday, and it brings you right to my meeting, and we talk about everything. And we have a meeting 7 days a week. There's a women's meeting. There's a meeting for battered spouses. Each one of us do something different. I just happen to be in charge of the men's meeting.
So it's like all little parts to make up the puzzle.
Yeah. I think Dusty speaks about, going through, she had lost two of her two children to stillborn, and going through that and becoming addicted to pain medicine, and then spousal abuse and stuff like that. So she touches on that. And then Sandra, who's actually she's also a registered nurse, she talks about how trauma in her workplace, from the nurses and the doctors seeing so much trauma that comes in the ER, she focuses on speaking to those people. So we each have our own little niche. So it's a great organization. It's all free. Anybody can click on that link, loveandlighttotheworld.org, and get all type of services. And then
awesome.
I'm really proud of the 501c3, the Overwatch Collective. It is formed by two former Marines. One is a active police sheriff in California, and they're both in the Coast Guard Reserve. And they started this organization because military veterans and first responders see a lot of trauma in their particular work, in their workplace, and unfortunately, a lot of them take their own lives due to it, and they had enough of it. So they started this organization to give back to first responders and veterans, to get them into treatment, to get them to talk to doctors or therapy, and their spouses as well, because the spouses of these individuals also go through trauma. And your insurance only covers so much, or they only allow you to stay for so many days, so, and that's where we step in and help pick out and pick up and really help out.
Give them more.
And it's all free. You know, we just want to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And their motto is one more is one less. So I love
Well,
that.
I love that too, but it could even be one more is one more to speak to more people as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. You know,
Because,
it's
you and I are adding more to each time we talk to more people, just getting to more people.
absolutely. And you know,
Did that make any sense?
no, it does, because my goal is every time I do a podcast is just to reach one more person.
Yeah, me too.
If one person can be affected by this podcast, then I believe I've done my job. The
Yeah.
chances are a lot more people are going to listen to it, but if only one person could get something out of this that could possibly change their life or help them veer off into a new direction, then I believe I'm doing justice.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I have you here, Tim. It's awesome. Just it's a crazy story. And I have to give you credit where credit is due, because I don't know. You have the right people around you
Yeah,
for support.
yeah,
Each and every one had a special place for that part that changed you. So I think that's really important, is the support. I had another podcast last year about sex addiction. And it's funny how it's very similar to that, and how it can affect relationships. Very similar to alcohol addiction. I mean, your personality changes, and that's the hard part in your job and your relationships moving forward. So I commend you for all your hard work and your sacrifices that you've made, and your story is just amazing. So thank you.
thank
And
you.
thank your wife
Yeah,
and your kids, and your mom.
yeah. Now that's one of my things that I have to keep focused. You know, that they've been through so much. They deserve to see me like this. They deserve to have their son and their father and their husband back,
Yeah,
and if not more. So
absolutely.
I'm determined to be the person that they knew I always could be. You know, 6 months in, I asked my wife. I said, "Why didn't you leave me?" I said,
Yeah.
"Anybody else would have." And she looks at me and she says, "Because I love you and I believed in you." And I believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. And I knew you could always be the man that I once married. I mean, um,
And then you
I'm,
just melted.
yeah, it's just, I put her through a lot. And for her to still love me unconditionally, not too many people find that in life.
No,
Um,
that's for
so
sure.
I'm truly
You're very
blessed and
blessed.
grateful. I am.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Tim. What kind of final message, even though you've told us lots, what kind of final message would you like to leave the listeners?
Just know that you're not alone. You know, each and every single one of us is going through something in life. Our circumstances may be different, but our feelings are all the same. And some of us feel down or embarrassed or ashamed about what we're going through. And a lot of the times we don't want to burden anybody with what we're going through. But the fact of the matter is we're all going through something. And if you just were to talk to somebody, you would find out that they're going through something too. And maybe you could help each other. So
Mm-hmm.
be more open with each other. God, love more people. You know, try to help more people, and I think the more that you help somebody, the more they'll help you, and we can all help each other. So, you know, I want to emphasize on that. You're not alone. Other people know exactly what you're going through, and you'd be surprised exactly who would know what you're going through. So, you know,
Even
share.
as well as you hide it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's awesome. I have a good friend who says love always wins the day.
It does. It does.
So,
I truly believe that now.
yeah, even though you wondered when you're sitting in your truck drinking another one.
Mm.
You can't even imagine. You wonder why you even did that, don't you? It's just like, when you come out of it, it's just like, why was I even there? Like, what was I doing?
It was
It's crazy.
I was that butterfly in the cocoon. I was that caterpillar. I was transforming into this person.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to live through hell.
No.
I had to live through hell to understand and to become this person. And I'm grateful for it.
Yes. Well, that's awesome. I'd like to take a second and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And I did have a little fancy subscribe button that I made finally, and press on that like and subscribe button down below to make sure that you are here next time for our next special guest. When you are thinking about that special someone right now watching the show and you haven't talked to them for a while, please reach out to them, call them, text them, Zoom them, FaceTime them, whatever it is, knock on their door. They still have a door, and tell them how much you love and care about them, because you don't know what tomorrow might bring. So stay tuned for our podcast and our live streams. I have great conversations with some of the most amazing and interesting and accomplished people in the world, like Tim here. I think you'll be entertained and informed, and start your unique plan. You know, it only takes one little second to download the app, start doing your plan, start making sure that, you have it there in that app for yourself when you need it. You might have it in the app for your family or friends when they need it for you. So take a second and check it out and start your unique plan. We are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook and Pinterest. And I always end our show with Carol Burnett. Do you remember who Carol Burnett is?
Oh, we used to watch it every night.
Yeah.
My parents loved it. Heck yeah. Tim Conway was my favorite.
Oh, and the dentist scene is like the best. When he stabs himself with the needle. So I always end our show with Carol Burnett. I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. So long, everybody. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you, listeners. Till next time, stay safe, be kind, and see you next week.